Hello everybody, this is Angia. I'm 17, whatever. Excuse the hair. Basically, I'm doing a flat twist, and when I take it out the next morning, it'll be okay. So basically, this is usually a divergent from my natural hair stuff, my blogs or whatever, but it's something that I think um, needs to be said. It's like an informative rant about parents, and I don't want you thinking that I'm being biased, but based on my experience of being a child, because I don't have kids, I'm 17, but I just want to say, based on the fact that I've been going to a high school and things, and I'm going to a high school in an urban community. The fact that it's just something that needs to be said, which is the double standards of the girl child and the boy child. And you're probably wondering, what the hell am I talking about? But it really boils down to um what is expected from a girl versus a boy. Now, you can sit here and tell me that these standards don't exist when raising a child, but I've seen it from people in my family. I've seen it when people rather how they discipline their children. I don't know. I can't speak for everybody. This is a general thing. I've seen it. I heard it in people's stories of their brothers versus their selves, or vice versa. And it's just something that needs to be said. I understand that it's not something that is done deliberately, but it is something that has continued throughout the generations. It's just part of American society in a way. So I think the thing is, parents are more liberal with their boy children, their young men children. And the reason is, especially when it comes to relationships and stuff, is because from what I hear, um, guys, from not what I hear, but guys can't get pregnant or whatever. So that brings into a main factor. But I think, with that being said, I do understand that you don't want your girl child getting pregnant and jolly vanting about the town and stuff like that. But I think that it should be a balance between being too strict and being too liberal. And there's a middle ground for that. I think I can't. I'm just saying based on my experience. So first of all, this is for all the naysayers who have anything to say on my blog, on my thing. This is my outlet. This is my channel where I voice my opinion, and I have no problem listening to what other people say. But I I do understand that people have different values and different beliefs. But the thing is, I'm trying to share my opinion, and I don't want people saying that, oh, girls shouldn't be worrying about guys and the relationships and all stuff like that. I understand that. Personally, I'm not worried about anything. I'm worried about my education, going to college, furthering my career. But you do have to understand that this is a generation where we're growing up way too fast. And I could admit that we're growing up way too fast. And instead of staying um, in old values, you have to incorporate. I'm not saying get rid of your old values and what you believe in, but I am saying take that and incorporate it into the new generations, because your child is not being born into the generation where you were raised. So you take what you can, or take what's best from your generation, and incorporate it into the new generation, and you take strides with that. With that being said, the problems with being too strict. I wrote this actually on a piece of paper because I know that when I start talking, I lose my track, and then I don't get to say whatever I want to say. So, anyway, the problem with being too strict is that it creates, you want to have control. I'm not saying you cannot be strict. The emphasis word here is too strict. That means that you don't want your child going out whether you know the parents or not. I'm not saying that you. I'm. Let me just explain what I mean. being too strict is just you're not allowing your child to do things. And I'm not saying that you can't have your hold on it, but don't grasp too tight. You have to be able to understand that your child, your children, your young adults, your teens, whatever age group you're catering to, you have to understand that, especially teenagers like us, you have to understand that we're gonna want to go out and hang out with our friends. So what I'm saying is that instead of being so strict to say no, maybe you should get to know the parents, know who the people that they're hanging out with. That's what I mean by not being too strict. That means knowing the opportunity, having, like my parents, in order for me to go out somewhere, I can't just say I'm going out. I have to tell them who I'm going with and give them contact information of the person I'm going with and their parents. They have to be able to meet their parents. I don't think that that's unreasonable at all. And I appreciate their, trying to keep tabs on me, but also understanding that I'm growing up. And the problem with being too strict is that it creates sneaky kids, whether you realize that or not. I'd rather have, in any relationship I'm in, whether boyfriend, girlfriend, um, work related, school related, anything that inquires with two people, I'd rather have somebody that's upfront telling me, you know, okay, this is, like, this is my problem with you, this is my problem, or this, I want to talk to you about this. Like, I don't think that I shouldn't be able to tell you things. Like, that's the main thing that's really, when you're too strict, your child's gonna end up doing things that they're gonna want to do anyway, whether you realize that or not. And it's just gonna create tension, and it's gonna create secrets and lies, and you're trying to hold your child closer to you when really and truly you're pushing your children away. I've heard stories from teenagers in my schools say that they deliberately lie to their parents so they can get the things that they want, and be sneaky about it instead of telling them exactly where they're going, because they know automatically that their parents will say no. And it's kind of sad, because I think a parent and child relationship should be able to transition. Like, what I mean to transition, I mean that you should be able to install values, install your beliefs into into your children when they're young, and enforce it when they're older. But understand that they have a mind. Understand that, we're not going to be the same way as we were as kids. And I think a child should be able to talk to their parents. I don't think that their children, or especially my age group, should feel like they can't talk to their parents about anything, especially girls when it comes to relationships, because little do you know, you're thinking that your child is all fine and dandy. Your child could hold up an excellent grade report, do excellent in school, and still sneaky and do things behind your back. Drinking, having unprotected sex, or anything that will put their life in danger. And you don't understand. I don't think most parents understand that that children will do these things, whether you have the approval or not. But with that being said, with not being too strict, you shouldn't be too liberal either. Like, your children shouldn't be, in my opinion, because I'm very, like, old fashioned compared to people in my school. I don't know. I believe in old traditional mixed with my generation, basically. But I do think that parents shouldn't be too liberal. Like, your children shouldn't be out partying and all night and coming home at all hours of the night, and you don't ask them where they've been. And I don't think that's good. I don't think that's good at all, because they're growing up too fast. They feel as though they can do whatever they want whenever they want, and you have to understand you're the parent too. So with that being said, I think that it should be a balance between too strict and too liberal, and that's the meeting grounds of your child, especially girl children, young teens, especially, excuse me, especially, should be able to sit down and tell you that I have a be able to sit down and tell you that, oh, I have a girlfriend or I have a boyfriend, and you should be accepting of that because it's a part of life. Your child is going to have relationships. When I first um, got into a relationship or whatever, I was scared to tell my parents, but my parents found out anyway, and they were actually more upset that I didn't tell them than and me being sneaky about it or whatever. And before anybody comes and tells me that, oh, that's American values or whatever, yada yada yada, I'm actually born to two um, Caribbean parents, and they came here when they were my age, and they've been living here ever since. So for anybody to sit here and comment and tell me like, oh, different cultures, different values, I'm just going to show you how people can't. My parents come from Barbados, and they were able to sit down and understand where I'm coming from. They rather me tell them the truth and tell them that I'm going to hang out with my boyfriend, my friend, well, my boyfriend, my friends or whatever, than than to be sneaking behind the back. Now, I don't have a boyfriend right now or anything like that, but I'm just saying that when I did, I was able to tell them things. I didn't feel like I had to keep secrets. They would sit down and talk to me about things, and I think that's important with having a relationship with your child, especially girl children, because you don't want them sneaking around doing things behind your back, and you also do not want your children growing up too fast. And that's where it comes to the point where that whole stubborn lifespan of our years is to figure out who we are, and you allow us and you guide us through it. Don't keep us so tight and so tight to you. Of course, we're always going to be your children, but understand that we're growing up. Understand that this is, we're really starting our journey, and I'm not saying to let us go completely and that we learn everything by ourselves, and I'm not saying to hold us so tight, but I'm saying to meet us in the middle ground. And I think that if parents were more open to the idea that their children are growing up and their children are becoming young adults in society, then I think a lot of things that is happening would cease, because we feel as though we could be able to talk to you guys about stuff. And I don't feel like this is a permanent solution, but this is a solution that may improve your life, or you know just improve I think that sitting down talking to your kids about sex, and not and when I mean have a talk with them, I mean like have a talk. Don't say don't have sex. That's not a talk. So I'm just saying, Americans, people that aren't so open to the idea of sex and stuff like that, I think that you have to realize that things are changing and you can't be so about it. So I'm just saying, just try to be more open to your to what your kids have to say. So this was directed to the parents in the too strict versus too liberal video. Of course, I'm going to make a video directing to people my age, teenagers. I don't want you to think that this is a single-sided story, when in actuality it's going to be targeted to children, young teens, and adults in the next video. So I just want to say thank you for listening, and I hope I didn't offend anybody, and if I did, oh well, you could write that in the comments. Bye.